Hey, this is something new, huh? I'm making a little video about my process of creating this guy. This guy is what the teaser was for. He flies, he hovers, he shoots, he has a cockpit, first person view, all the works. This video is pretty much showing you my whole process of making him. So let's start with the first part, the engines. So the engines are using this thing called the quantum rudder glitch, I believe it's what it's called. Pretty much you spin the rudders really fast, make sure you have two of them and they're a good distance apart, and they for some reason propel you really far, really fast. It takes a little bit of finagling if you're building it from scratch, but there's dozens of people who used it in the workshop that you can just download, study it, and eventually work on your own. This isn't my first one making this guy. I originally had one called the Red Demon, my favorite, but after the update it lost like half its speed, which sucked, but what can you do, you know? Anyway, within the engines I have gyros, rotating gyros that let me go up, down, left, right, and tilt. Along with that I have hover logic built within each one, so in case one gets destroyed I can still hover for a little bit before repairing and getting right back into the fray. And lastly I have fireworks, which you guys might find a little weird, but pretty much I'm a MHA fan, not a lot. I don't think the show's that good anymore, but Bakugo had this really cool ass fight. It looked like he was shooting fireworks instead of typical explosions, and I was like, yo, that's cool. Let me like incorporate that to my robot and see what happens. And so that's what those are for. And a little bit later you will see me working on them some more because they're a little difficult to work with. And yeah, once I had everything together, I connected it to like a little middle section which has all of the columns that keep things stabilized and pointing up or pointing wherever you wanted to go to. I have two sets. The main set where when you stop, and the secondary set for when you are going. The secondary set is I think strength of 3 for all 4, and the primary set is like strength 8.5. The 3 is just to allow it to move like a plane, and well, the 8.5 is just to keep it stationary while it's just hovering or just standing or things like that. So I did incorporate this little cockpit piece. It's based off these images. I got them from the Discord, the Trailmakers Discord. Unfortunately, I can't find the original uploader of these images, so that really sucks because this guy made it really cool. If any of you guys know who it is, or if you yourself are actually watching, please let me know who you are so that I can give you proper credit, because this is really cool. And yeah, I did shrink it down a small bit so that it can fit properly into the mech. And because of this cockpit, I had issues with the mech itself, but eventually I came across this image, and pretty much, you may laugh, dude, you're free to laugh, but it works. Like the legs, the shape of the actual main body of it, the arms and everything of that nature. So I was like, you know what, let's use this. So I started with the legs. I started from the crotch, worked your way down to the hips, into the thighs, then down to the knees, then the feet. And before I added any animations, I did this little thing where the legs moved really kind of weird. Anyway, I got the animation set in place to where when it's going, the legs would move back and the feet will kind of collapse a tiny bit to make it look like it's getting, like the legs are being trailing back from the sheer speed. But not only that, I eventually added the main cockpit, which is this large hexagonal section where the whole front's clear, so you can still see outside. And so you could fly within the cockpit from inside, which is something I really wanted. I was really happy with how it came out. From there I added the arms. The arms were a little bit tricky because I wanted them to look like they still go back when you go flying, but can just cancel that and move forward when you want to shoot. But even when you're stationary, still going forward and shoot. Once I got all those animations down, I brought back the engines, removed the original cockpit placed there, pushed the mech into place, and incorporated all of the gyros and things of that nature to keep it, functioning, the two sets. And from there, I had to do a little bit of fixing because every time you remove a seat, then add a seat, it will add controls to certain blocks that don't have any controls. Like for servos, it would add the default controls, gyros, same thing, and so on. But yeah, that's for the mech. And here's a little bit of me testing it out. So back to the engines. I ended up adding 4 additional rotating servos, 2 per each engine, to increase the speed, because if I remember correctly it was going 250 before the increase, but now it's hitting roughly 3 to 350. Though that speed does fluctuate a little bit. I've noticed since the update, the quantum rudder glitch has a slight issue where even if you reload, you can have a sideways tilt, and that decreases the speed by a significant amount. So that is a bit of an issue, but despite that, it still works really well. Not only that, I began working on the fireworks. Since I had mentioned before that I was a fan of this recent fight Bakugo had in the MHA series, I wanted it to look like it was propelled by explosions. So I at first was planning to do it to where fireworks would go off repeatedly, but the sound and the effect and all that stuff just wasn't good. So I ended up deciding just sticking with one massive explosion at the start, and just that's the only thing until you start it again. And yeah, altogether it looked pretty nice. So the paint job. Since I did mention I was a big fan of that fight, I ended up sticking with the Bakugo color scheme, which is an array of greens, blacks, and orange and red. I ended up sticking with green, gray, orange, and tan, just to differentiate it by a small bit. The engines were primarily green with bits of gray and orange. The main robot, same style. And within the cockpit, however, I believe I had the left handle as blue and the right handle as red, with the main middle servo as its own thing. And altogether, I had covered it with this metallic texture to make it look shinier and more visible during the day, and at night it becomes significantly darker, the only things visible being the glowing bits on the arms and on the face, which I do not mind. That was the goal. Altogether, the robot just looks really nice now. I love its speed, I love how it maneuvers and everything of that nature. I really hope y'all love this build, because I believe in a month from now I will be uploading it to the workshop. A nice month to, play with it, work out any kinks it might have, things like that. Anyway, here's the final product. Hope you enjoy. Well, hope you guys liked the video. It took a while to make, unfortunately, but it came out pretty good in my opinion. I'm thinking about making more in the future about other builds. Right now, I'm currently working on a Death Race series. Pretty much it's 4 vehicles with weapons. They all have timers, so you can't use them repeatedly. There's even gear shifts, like first gear, second gear, and things like that. It'll be great when I'm uploading that video. But until then, I'm re-enlisting all the videos made to make this one. Hopefully you enjoy all of those. Have a good day. See you soon.